Good afternoon, everybody. I think there's a lot going on at the moment, and we find ourselves in definitely very unnatural circumstances. And taking what's happened in the last couple of hours and days, I think it's time that we just give you an update and try let you understand where we as an association are and what we are doing. It's always very difficult and frustrating when I sit and I read a lot of the information on the groups, and I see people aren't always as informed as what we believe and are easy to comment. But before I go there, I just thought, let me just try and start on a positive note at this stage. And I think this is where some of our challenges sit. We're dealing with an extreme situation that nobody anticipated. It just shows that things changed overnight. A great equalizer has brought everybody back down to earth, and we are reevaluating where we are. Each one has got a challenge, no doubt. We in a raging storm, and I've said it before, our boats differ, our capacities differ, and our challenges will differ. And each one is unique, but not unimportant. So we need to address those issues as much as possible and see how we can help each other. How are we going to get through the storm, I think, is the big challenge. And this is where I want to assure you today that as an association, PHASA and the EXCO are doing their utmost to try and look after your interests. I don't think there's an hour that is spent during the day that one of us is not looking at means and ways at addressing issues that are pressing and no longer just taken as trivial. These issues are urgent. There's a lot of things that we can leave by the wayside, but our livelihoods are at stake here. There's so much. If I just take the number of calls that I've received and people that I've spoken to, people are my passion. And I can assure you, God has given me a lot of patience and the ability to listen, to try and understand where each individual is coming from and the unique challenges that he faces or she faces, and how do we address those issues and how do we find solutions to them. It's easy to identify problems, but we need to identify solutions that come with that. And in our current environment, it is not as easy as what everybody thinks it is. Yes, we can call people to action. We can call people to stand up. Civil disobedience at this stage, we as an association can't contribute towards that, and we can't condone that. And have to have a look at the legal mechanisms that are in place that we can go and utilize to raise our challenges and our concerns. Firstly, the government's approach to where we are now is that of saving lives. We don't understand the rationale behind a lot of the decisions that are made, and we take comparisons to certain industries and we make our own deductions from there. But I can assure you that we as an association are at the forefront, the very forefront of what is happening. We are getting first-hand information. We understand every single challenge that is out there, especially in our industry. And for the first time in certain departments, people are taking cognizance of the fact that we exist and we contribute significantly to the fiscus of our country. We are not a small little community. We are a very large community, and the value chain is very big, and there's a massive impact. And not all of us understand how this value chain works and the size of it and who's all impacted in this. But before I continue from there, I think we first need to just go back a couple of steps and have a look at the reality of what is PHASA's function as an association. Well, firstly, PHASA was put together by professional hunters and outfitters who are like-minded at working together and finding solutions to our challenges. And this is exactly the philosophy we take forward. We are member-driven. We listen to the requirements of our members, and we go and find solutions for that. We don't suffer from ostrich syndrome where we try and hide away and evade the challenges at hand. We take them head on. And there is no challenge so big that we can't find a solution for that. But paramount to all of this, I think the success And where we find PHASA at this stage is we've changed our whole philosophy in how we handle things. And the biggest changes come is in how we see life and how we see our fellow man, and getting our priorities straight. The first thing is that we needed to do was to put God first. And PHASA as an association has taken some criticism by people by alleging we should be apolitical and not a religious organization. I beg to differ. Yes, apolitical. We are totally neutral when it comes to the political side of things, and at this stage, there's reasons for that that we've got to anticipate and look at the bigger picture. But when it comes to Christianity, we're a Christian country. The majority of our members are Christians, and we've got to realize where our provision comes from on a daily basis. And we can't be hypocritical about that. And we all value what God has done for us and how He has looked after us and how He's protected us. So we will stand up for that right and we will protect that right. And I think this is where the changes come about, where PHASA has been blessed in numerous ways. In the times that we see now is we can't attribute it to anything else but God's favor. And also the leadership that we have at this stage is are individuals that have got genuine hearts that go out every single day with the members' concerns, the members' interests at heart. I can assure you there's not one single EXCO member that sits out there and tries to see how he can get benefit for himself. These people offer everything from themselves, their businesses, their time, looking after how they can improve the well-being of our members. How can we improve the service offering of our members? What can we do more to bring additional benefits to our members? So each one is extremely active in looking after your interests and applying the philosophies that we have got. We have got our guidelines that you give us every year at the AGM and the mandate that we have, and we work accordingly. To give you an idea of PHASA's involvement and how PHASA has evolved, PHASA is no longer just an association. We are the only professional body registered under SAQA regarding education in the country. There is no other body, and nobody else can profess to be the professional body. So in other words, PHASA is the control authority when it comes to the control and the quality of the education given to professional hunters. PHASA, at the end of the day, owns the rights and the curriculum that has been designed and registered with SAQA. So all these things at the end of the day play a significant role. That puts PHASA in a different category at the end of the day, from just being a plain association to now being a professional body. And that has an impact on all of our lives at the end of the day. And that's why we take things so seriously. We as individuals go out and we go about our daily tasks and don't really care what's happening in the background. But this whole COVID experience has brought in some challenges that we believe have let people realize there's a bigger picture. I can certainly assure you at this stage that if it was not for the associations, and not only PHASA at this stage, and when I talk about associations, it is very broad-based, from the various tourism associations to our fellow wildlife colleagues, WRSA, taxidermists, the wildlife translocation, CHASA, SA Hunters, NatShoot. Every single one of these associations at the end of the day has contributed to making a positive contribution and fighting for your rights. The sad thing and the reality about this is, and I will get criticism again, but I get immune to it, is I just don't think it's right. And I can understand, and please, and I say this respectfully, I can understand the financial situation of every individual is different. And all I've been asking is to say, become involved in some form. I'm not forcing you to become a member of any association. I'm not forcing you to go and contribute financially. I'm saying become involved in the industry, because the whole industry affects you directly. I said it in an article and got some criticism because I called the people that call an association, ask for help, and use the association's resources, and then have the audacity to say, oh, by the way, I'm not a member, but thanks for the help in any case. People like parasites. Soos ons sê in Afrikaans, rugryers. They are getting the benefits that associations like us selflessly fight for. And when we fight for something, we're not only fighting for our members. If we look at this country, we've got about just over 400,000 registered firearm users that are recorded as hunters. Of that, less than 85,000 belong to associations. So it actually shows you that a small percentage of people take our business seriously. And this is unfortunate, but it is a reality. The associations at this stage, since COVID has started, have worked tirelessly to get better options, better opportunities for each and every individual out there. The fact that we, as PHASA, that is mainly concentrated on the international hunting market, didn't exempt ourselves doesn't mean because we've got no international tourists coming in, we have no stake and no responsibility towards our fellows in this industry. Have also got knee deep into the fight for survival. Nobody has been able to go out and really be vocal about the challenges we face. And I can assure you that has changed. The people we've got now are standing up and making the correct noises and being noticed. If we come back at this stage, and I'll touch on the various ministries. As you're aware, when lockdown started, the Hunting Association, AWASA, set up a meeting with Minister Cressy from Environmental Affairs, and we presented certain situations that we found problematic at that stage. We were fortunate, some of them were addressed, some weren't, but it did make a difference. When the next level of lockdown came into play, once again we engaged, and we had certain things assigned to us, a certain environment that we had never explored before, but we had a lot of gains in that sense, and there was allowances made for the fact that we could then start with what we called subsistence hunting. This was a big relief for a lot of the landowners, and it enabled people to earn a living. It's just frightening that when we try and explain to people the difference and draw paradigms, a cattle farmer has the ability to take all his cattle, put it in a corral, chase them into the back of a truck, and drive them to an abattoir. A game farmer doesn't have that luxury. His abattoir is basically the hunter that comes and visits his property. Then the argument would arise, but yes, they're paying the farmer for that privilege. It's exactly the same as going to a butchery. You pay for your meat. The only difference is we are paying for our meat and we know where our meat is coming from, and we process our meat the same way we like it. So there's no real differences, but yes, we have lost that privilege now as of yesterday, and it's unfortunate. The consequences are dire. It's taken the little bit of hope that individuals had and made them very despondent, depressed. And at this stage is, like I said, for me as a president of an association to come to you and to try and explain the situation is extremely difficult because I feel helpless. At night in my quiet time, I ask God for answers. I can't understand why are we going through these challenges. But we've got to realize this is the reality. We will make it through, and we were promised it would never be easy. And I can understand that each one might differ in their views, but the reality is we're in this together. And PHASA has been extremely busy, and I can only congratulate every single one of you that came forward and actually paid your PHASA subs and your membership fees. You enabled us to do a lot. There are still some members that haven't been able to meet their commitments yet, and basically have until the end of this month, the 31st, to sort that out or to make a written arrangement with the office. But by paying your dues and by being active, and not only financially, by offering services, just being able to load a truck for us, we've been able to feed people throughout this country. Literally from Kimberley all the way to Petersburg, Messina, we have been able to feed a lot of people. If I make a quick calculation and I have a look at what we've done, is just after Friday's offload of the potatoes and onions and pumpkin that we received, there's indirectly between 3,500 to 5,000 people that are dependent on that food, and that is distributed in these various areas. Those are people that have no income or very little income and are cash strapped, that cannot afford basic needs. That was just one contribution from PHASA side, and PHASA members and farmers coming forward and saying, you know what, I've got a crop of potatoes, I've got this, I've got that, can we distribute it in some form? As you're aware, PHASA is also working with Helpjag with the distribution of meat, where we've made tons of meat available, and even at one point bought meat to be processed to distribute amongst families that we are looking after. We've got a lot of charities that we support, and these people also dependent on us. And this is where your contribution at the end of the day enables us to do this work. We have got members that at this stage are in dire straits. Like I said to you, each one's challenges differ. Overnight situations have changed, where people have become dependent on PHASA, and they are loyal PHASA members for years, where PHASA has now taken the responsibility to look after them. And by you making your membership contribution, you've enabled us to do that. These are all expenses that were never budgeted for, but desperate times call for desperate measures, and we need to address the priorities first, and that's looking after our members. And that is still my plea to you, is if there are folk out there that are not members, encourage them to become members. That is really one of the blessings and the miracles that I can attest to at this stage. It's been astounding to see, and really miraculous, that how many people have joined PHASA in this most difficult time. I've never seen it before, and our membership just during this period has grown significantly. And I can thank those individuals for understanding the necessity to stand together. A lot of people say unity is a pipe dream in this industry. Yes, it is a challenge. Different associations have got different views. Different associations feel differently about certain things. But PHASA feels, firstly, for its members. PHASA is a members association. I can't reiterate that enough. And we are here to look after your interests. When people call in and says, oh, but PHASA hasn't got involved in this, or PHASA hasn't got in that, is call me. I'll give you the facts. The office can also give you the facts, the rundown of where we're involved in. And it's not just talk shops. We are actively involved in heated discussions and in a lot of debate, and have made significant contributions to enable each one of you to benefit from that. Now, at this stage is where we currently stand. I did mention our meetings with Minister Cressy and then the directives that were issued as a result of our engagements. We will be meeting again with her next week, where we will relay all our concerns and our challenges that lie ahead, and how can we try and open up the industry that each one of you can start earning a living again, or at least meet some of the requirements, because our job losses are significant. Our job losses is, if we just have a look at the impact thereof and how many people are dependent, from a rough estimate, every outfitter also has at least got 15 people that are employed by him. And if we just take those people, how many people are dependent on that? So the ramifications and the hunger and the poverty that comes from these job losses will only be felt in the months to come. And we're trying to alleviate that as far as possible. So in our meeting with Minister Cressy, I think we'll address a lot of these issues. And there's a lot of environmental issues that I think that we can have a look at. The difficulty with our industry, and I said it before, comes with the fact that there's a lot of current competencies that are shared between various ministries: tourism, environmental affairs, and agriculture. Now, each one of these have got their rulings. We've got an extremely complex legal system, and we're looking at ways of addressing this. As you are aware, I am on the high-level panel, and a lot of these issues are being addressed there. And I thank all of you that made submissions and participated in making submissions, that we can have a look at what are possible solutions going forward for our country. We need an African solution to an African problem. We can't take a Western solution and expectation of the West and try superimpose what we think should be right on that. We can't please everybody either. And I think at the end of the day is sustainable use and how we go about utilizing our resources wisely and in a responsible legal manner will play a paramount role going forward. Besides the point that we're on the high-level panel, I sit on the board of Tourism Business Council South Africa. And just today, if I've been looking at the WhatsApp groups and the discussions on the WhatsApp groups, it's a situation of where people are uninformed and don't understand. And people say, but what has PHASA done? Why aren't we involved? Why haven't we taken legal action? Why haven't I can assure you, we evaluate every single aspect of those comments. If we have a look at the reality is, we've learned one thing in life. You choose the fights that you can win. We have got to be responsible with PHASA money, firstly. And if we have a look at the situation where we find ourselves at this stage, is our priority has been looking after our members. So yes, we don't have adequate funds to get into a lengthy legal battle. But I'm sure if it came to the push where we saw the necessity for something like that, we could definitely make a plan and make arrangements to get those funds. But coming back to Tourism Business Council South Africa, after the Minister of Tourism's last statement and directives that she brought out, firstly regarding hotels, lodges, and accommodation in various of these places, guest houses, we saw a serious need to get clarity on why are we being penalized. And this question has been asked by a lot of people. We know the taxi industry has been successful in going forward and taking large loads of people. And if it is, according to what the government says, that first priority is the people's health and safety and to prevent numerous deaths, then this is a concern for us. It beats rational thought. It doesn't meet any of the ideas that we could put forward. However, there was an evaluation done and the board decided to put funds available to have an assessment done to look at what would be the success if we should institute legal action against the government in opening up local tourism as such. After a serious amount of money and a lot of investigation, the feedback came back and it assured us at this stage is that we must be realistic. And if we look at the challenges against the government at this stage, how many have been successful? And we've got to understand is the parameters that the government works in. They don't work in a system that we understand. And the judge's findings at this stage, one case was successful, but all that has happened is that case has been put on appeal, and it can take months before it is resolved. So time is of the essence to try and survive in the situation where we currently find ourselves. We cannot afford to waste time, and we've got to look at different alternatives. Yes, the legal route is one way, but will it solve some of the challenges? It may, but at this stage is what history has shown us, and from the current cases that have been presented, and there's numerous of them, we are not the only people in the industry that have considered it. Those cases have not been successful. So the question is, do we waste a lot of PHASA money, or do we look at alternatives and find practical solutions to dealing with the challenges we face? And I think that has been the approach with PHASA is at this stage, is we don't discount the fact that should the need arise, that we can take action. But I think at this stage is let sanity prevail and let's try and resolve the issues in a way that is amicable for everybody. And there's got to be consequences. At this stage is we as individuals are suffering significant financial losses. There is no relief for us. Now, because of our involvement on the Business Council, what I've done and what I've put together is a proposal, and it's been accepted, and a task team has now been formulated by the Business Council, where a high-level panel of individuals will meet with a high-level delegation of ministers and their advisors and financial institutions to see how we can expedite payment in certain areas and look at new forms of relief for the landowners, the professional hunters, the guides, because at this stage is the real financial relief came in the form of the UIF and the small tourism grant, and then the banks making some loans available. But they've been very restrictive, and some of the banks have not been accommodating or willing to cooperate in the restructuring of the financing or relooking at alternatives. And these are the challenges that we as an association are taking forward. We have approached WRSA because we have cross membership, and we've been given the assurance that we can speak on their behalf and also look for assistance from that side. So PHASA is fighting for you financially on the tourism side. The tourism sector has been hit extremely hard. We feel it in our lodges. Yes, we feel it in our hunting business. But have we ever stopped to have a look at all the other businesses that are out there? How many restaurants are going to go bankrupt, will never open up again? How many guest houses will never open up again? If we just look at the car rental industry, how many of the big car rental companies we know, Avis, for example, close to about 60 to 70% of their vehicles have been returned to the banks because they have no business at this stage. So, yes, I think we've got to be thankful for the situation we do find ourselves in. We've got to be thankful for our neighbors that look after us. Each one of us feels very strongly about our position. And this is where I ask, let's not be bullheaded about how we approach the situation. We need thought and good thought processes to go into and to identify solutions. We all know the problems, and we can complain about the problems as much as we like. It's not going to solve anything. We need to come forward with practical solutions. Yes, we can challenge as much as possible, but at the end of the day, in a legal dispute, the only people that win are lawyers. And I firmly believe that with consultation and good dialogue, we can reach a lot. But we can only do that up to a point. If that doesn't, all else fails, then we'll resort to other measures. But we haven't reached that point yet. And I want to assure you that we will do our best. Then I want to move on to the next topic at this stage is basically the Game Meat Industry Forum. That also affects each one of you. And PHASA can assure you that we are looking after your best interests on that, because that's a significant amount of income that you generate every year from the carcasses hunted. And there is pending legislation that can severely impact that. And we have taken a stance and a viewpoint that has been generated in collaboration with NatShoot and CHASA. Dr. Krappies Els and Stephen Paulus have been very accommodating and have assisted us in putting our case forward as well, because we all have similar concerns. So on that front, PHASA is looking after your interests, that you don't lose that potential income. We serve on so many committees: Wildlife Industry Forum, the African Lion Task Team. There is so much portions of the wildlife industry that is covered by PHASA's association. If it came down to resourcing, we don't really have adequate resources to everything what we should be doing. Just from an international point of view, we have negotiated with the international exhibitions, namely Dallas Safari Club and a lot of the ISE exhibitions. Most have been forthcoming and have informed us that they are willing to either transfer the deposit that you're paid for a booth until next year, but each person must make an arrangement with them and basically guaranteed us you won't lose your deposit. ISE Sports Show, especially the Salt Lake City as such, have not been so forthcoming, and I've got a different viewpoint that if you haven't cancelled by October, your full amounts are due. So it's up to each one of you to decide, are you going to go to the exhibitions or not? We don't have clarity, we don't have dates yet of when exactly our country will open and what will be allowed and what won't be allowed. We're trying to get clarity on that. So once I have more information, I'll definitely make it available to you and supply you with updated, accurate requirements that you and your clients will be safe and that you will know what is required of you. PHASA has also been involved in the African Wildlife Consultative Forum, where we've made significant contributions. With the help of Conservation Force, we had an excellent submission that was prepared by Barry York and others, Mark Kapani from Conservation Force. It was part of our submission to the high-level panel, which was well received. And I'm extremely proud of the document that was presented from there. So we are not only locally involved, but internationally as well. We are engaging with SCI and Dallas on a regular basis. And SCI has agreed at this stage that PHASA can put a donation together, a significant donation, and the proceeds of that donation will basically come back to PHASA as an association. Dallas is looking at the same proposal. SCI has come forward with an initiative to put certain things in place where the associations will probably be receiving some funding. We need to look after our association. Our association is the glue that keeps the industry together. And I want to come, and it's been quite a lengthy discussion that I've had with you today, but I feel it's necessary that we all understand we are facing severe challenges. I don't want you to give up hope. I know it is difficult. I plead with each one of you at this stage is there is no problem that we cannot solve. If we are there, I'm more than willing, and like I said, all of you can attest to it, that if you phone me, I get back to you, and we will listen to you. There's no problem that we won't listen to. There's no question that is too or regarded as stupid or insignificant. There's a reason why those things concern you. And if you need information, rather get it directly from us than secondhand. Folks, please be careful of secondhand information. I also want to urge once again on the groups, on the WhatsApp groups, there's new laws that have come in regarding social media and what is said on social media and the content that you distribute. If you share certain information from one phone to another, you could also be held liable, even though it didn't generate from you. So be careful what you receive on your phone. If it's undesirable, delete it. I want to request our groups as well, all the PHASA groups. Folks, let's say these groups for PHASA business only. If there is something that is sensitive, let's rather contact individuals directly than on the groups. The groups are basically for general announcements and for getting some information out as quickly as possible. But let's be careful of the information that we share on these groups. The administrators of those groups will be held accountable, and the individual sharing the information. So let's be cautious of what we do and how we go about handling situations there. I'd also request that if there are any personal recommendations as such, is rather contact the person privately and share that information with him privately. Let's use the groups what they're generated for, is to get information out as quickly as possible, and where we have emergency situations to disseminate that information where we can get help out to our members. If we look at everything going forward from there, I think we've mentioned the foundation and the feeding scheme of the foundation, but we've also been extremely successful with our leopard research, and where we're progressing from there. There's been a report back and a document produced that's been very well received, and we will continue with that research. So PHASA is busy in a lot of aspects, and will continue to represent its members countrywide. The Eastern Cape is doing extremely well, and I can thank Early Rudman for coordinating all the challenges that we've had in the Eastern Cape and consolidating the challenges and bringing them to us that we can deal with them. Limpopo, the cooperation, I think, is definitely improving, and we're doing well at this stage with the government as such, and I think there's interaction that will take place that will be to the benefit of everybody. But these things take time and don't happen overnight. I want to conclude there. I think it's a fairly comprehensive indication of what we have done and where we are moving towards and what we are doing for you as members. If you feel that we have missed something or that I've not addressed it adequately, feel free to criticize. Feel free to send me a message. I am not perfect, and our members and EXCO are also not perfect. We can assure you one thing, though: we give 100% in what we do. And we will continue to fight hand, tooth, and tail wherever we are for your interests. We are not going to go and lie down. And that's why I take exception to when people make comments that say, why isn't PHASA involved, or get the facts. I think a lot of the time people don't understand that we as associations work together and as a united front approach government on a lot of these issues. Because as individuals, we were not seen as much. But where we don't get satisfaction, we stand up for our own rights and we will fight where required. In closing, hope is a relative term. All I know is that we will get through this storm. God is our provider and He has made promises. He said, if I take you to it, I'll take you through it. We know exactly that will happen. We don't know what lies on the other side. I can just ask that each one of you learn to live day by day. It's not easy. And don't let fear come and steal your freedom. It's a difficult statement, but it's required at this stage. Focus on what you can control and not the things that you can't control. It's really needed, and it's really difficult in the situations where we are now. We've all got families to worry about. We've all got a lot of concerns going forward. But take it day by day. It's like eating an elephant, small chunks at a time. I can assure you that God hears your prayers, and we're in a situation where it is not unique. The world is suffering with us. We are fortunate in a lot of the things that we have. When we get negative, let's just stop and look at the positive stuff that is around us. If there's anybody that would like to contact me, please feel free to do so. I am always available. And like I said, I'm here for the members and will continue to be here for the members and give my best until my last breath. This is my industry. The industry has been good for me. This is my livelihood. It's 100% my passion and my livelihood. And so is it yours. And we will do our best to protect that. Keep well, stay safe, keep praying, and we know the outcome will be successful in the end. Thank you and take care.